I'm taking note of the comments under the Holy Faith Cuba tragedy. So, of course, the media has been giving updates. So this morning, the mother is saying that she wants justice. Quite rightly so. She wants results. She wants to know that somebody is going to pay for what went on with her daughter. The comments underneath the articles, to me, it really just shows what a simple society we have and why we're not actually solving school violence. One, the children took off their uniforms. Obviously, at a young age, they've mastered the art of loopholes. We have government ministers who made a living mastering the art of loopholes and getting known gang leaders off of murder sentences. We know of ministers that make a living finding loopholes so that those who they represent and are convicted of murder and should be facing the hangman through loopholes walk free. So, yeah, we are loophole society. Second, let's talk about the school violence and the fact that it is a reflection of where we are as a country. How often do we pick up the newspaper and hear that a woman got chopped, or a woman beat a woman for a man, or a man drank Gramazone, or a man was brutally beaten because, pensioners these days are being beaten at a rate in their own homes, because home invasions have gotten to the point where they are absolutely disgustingly violent and brutal. So do we think that the children somehow live in a vacuum where they're going to be angelic while the rest of society is given away to Satan? Our bahas are overflowing while our churches remain empty. On Sunday, most people in the market, they're exercising, they're doing everything else except going to church. All we are seeing in schools is a reflection of the moral decay of our society. Let's go now to what I saw this morning in the newspaper, because some people are trying to say, well, we're not just expelling them. The Prime Minister spoke about finding somewhere else where they could get help. This is the same Prime Minister, while opposition leader, fought and spoke about the Judah Jones report and spoke about Robert Sabga and his Sabga report being, PNM and is a pedophile national movement. And the same Judah Jones report that they're silent on, even though Barry Padrath would have called the ombudsman, the office of the ombudsman, and all these different things low-hanging fruit. Do y'all know that 2 other children escaped from St. Jude's home this morning? Do you remember Antonio, Daniel, and Semyon Francis? David Nackett should remember, because he was part of that team that investigated, and he boasts that he went hill and all kind of thing, and they took his statement, but his statement didn't reach in the Judah Jones report and whatever. Again, the then opposition, the now government, was very vocal and said that the PNM did not care about our nation's children. But now we want to solve violence by expelling them, putting them in jail, and what? And comforting fools. Because it's a comfort to fools who have not paid attention to the state of children in government's care. Lest we forget that wards of the state are pimped out and prostituted. They run away for their safety and then die in the hills of Laventille to cover for politicians and businessmen. But we want to talk about we could somehow take these children and manage them and turn them into productive citizens. We're not taking care of the ones that are already in the care of the state. But we want to put more children in the care of the state. This is not government work. We must understand boundaries. We must understand the role of a government. Where is the church? Where is the society? Is there any correlation between the fact that gender roles are all over the place? where women are outside running on this hamster wheel and not home with their children, that men are weak, that this society, we've empowered women, and somehow while we empowering women, we're doing the opposite to our men. So we have weak men that should be leading society, and bitter women thinking they could, at Father's Day come in, you'll see all the single mothers thinking that this is a day for them. There are roles, God-given roles, that women cannot fill. Boys, girls need men in their lives. Strong men that will step up. Men in society that will step up. We don't have those things. The UN, we've had so many committees. We've set up committees after committees after committees, decades of committees to address school violence, and it is not going anywhere. 20 years ago, we were fighting up with a murder rate of 200. Now we're fighting up with 600 and 700. The school violence is nothing but an overflow of what is going on in society. Single mothers, absent fathers, overflowing bars and fetes, but empty churches. We need to get back the moral fabric of our society. You listen to I could post some of the comments who say her justice would be violence. How many parents turn to licks and to curtail, and I say in curtail, but that is the best way that they could say it to parents, and the parents saying it to children. How many parents, out of laziness, turn to a belt and to a broomstick and to a bailna and all sorts of stuff instead of sitting with their children, instead of doing devotions with their children, instead of expecting their children to operate in a manner that is worthy of the gospel, instead of communicating with their children, being there, being present in their lives, having their children feel heard, having their children feel respected and understood. How many parents pour that into their children before they choose to pour violence into their children? And I'm not saying that I always say, if you could control your anger, if you've communicated, if you've shown grace and mercy, the grace and mercy that Jesus shows for this country, because let me tell you, the wrath that we should be getting, if you give that grace and that mercy and do your job and the preventative care and discipline and teaching and showing what is expected and leading by example, then the rod of discipline is all yours. But more than often, it's a lack of self-control. It is the opposite of slow to anger. It is your own frustration with your own life being taken out on a child. And then we wonder, while school violence is out of control, then we wonder why these young girls are behaving the way they are behaving. What is the example that they are seeing at home? What is the example that they are seeing at home, if any example at all? Trinidad and Tobago, the answer is not so simple as jail them. And all the cries for jail them, jail them, jail them. This is not murder. They're going to be out in 5 years, and they're going to be out as a hardened criminal, and they're going to have children, and they're going to raise hardened children, hardened criminals as their children. We need to stop being we want blood. Our response to it is violent. Our response to it is angry. We need to take a breath. We need to really have dialogue and have a proper plan for the entire morality of this country, not just school children.